forward. That was the crucial part. And also, we'll hit share. We'll have a couple minutes of our faces on screen, and then we'll hit share to. And I want to bring,
Wednesday's fine. Wednesday's the only one coming.
okay. So, welcome everyone to Cultural Connections. This marks a milestone. This is an international talk, so I'll call it a kilometer stone, in that Nigeria has already presented. Now we've got approximately 40 nationalities represented on our campus. About half of those have already presented, and now we've got a country which is the most populous in Africa. Still, they're presenting twice. This is my challenge to you. I've talked to folks from Honduras, Egypt, and from Kenya about presenting. But even if you're the only person here from your country, please consider doing that. And please consider, if you know of any professors who've done international research, we'd love for them to do a presentation. Whether it's one about the culture, the agriculture of the country, or both. Okay, a couple of quick announcements. Last month we had guests who talked about Toastmasters, a very good international organization. They recently had a reception. If you, whether your native language is English or not, this is an opportunity for you to become a better public speaker in English. And we are definitely promoting that. It's led by Ma Elena Gonzalez Hernandez, who has greatly profited from that. Just one more note. Oh yeah, I've been a little sad the past couple of days. I don't know if any of you have been feeling that way. Can anybody guess why?
Because cloudy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so it is cloudy and it is getting colder. There's one more special reason for me. I think I probably said at least once that my name is Jason Owens, and that Jason part of the year ends today. If any of you are familiar with what I mean by the Jason part of the year, the first letters exactly of July, August, September, October, and November. J-A-S-O-N. I learned that in college, and I learned at that same moment that a girl had a crush on me. But I'd like to be serious for a minute. You know, it was someone from the other economic powerhouse of Nigeria, with Nigeria being economic powerhouse of Africa. Nigeria and South Africa compete for that title. So a South African doctor had come to study medicine in New York City, and around this time of year he started feeling depressed, and eventually seasonal affective disorder, which also spells sad, was diagnosed. So if you're from a country that's at 6 degrees north of the equator and aren't used to having so little light every day, that could be a factor. We think of the light in someone's life coming from God, coming from their future spouse, but it could just be the physical light in your life. So we do have medical ways of dealing with that. Please keep that in consideration. Yes, Jane Douglas.
Would you please mention Celebration of Nations, that we're going to start planning for that?
Yes.
February the 28th?
Yes, several people in this room are actually part of the hardworking committee led by Jane for this annual February 28th event. The food you're eating today was made by the woman that did Colombian style food for last year's event. We're looking for you to think about having a booth this year, presenting something from your culture, a 3D object, some food, posters. We have some bit of a budget that would enable you to even perhaps obtain something small. We've got a great number of flags. We are committed to having every flag of people represented on this campus represented that day in Shizler. February 28th, it's a lunchtime event. please talk to Jane or me after this event if you're not already involved in that. Any other announcements? And we're still hoping that Jollof rice will come in, and when it does, we're going to pass it around. So please hold on to your bowl. I'd like to thank Jane's office. I was able to get funding to go to a National Association of Foreign Student Advisors conference, and I learned a whole lot, including about SIM cards available to give incoming students and scholars. And I will continue to try to think of more ways to make life as positive as possible for the 140 of you who are non-US passport holders. And by doing so, it enriches the lives of everyone else as well. Okay, without further ado, we have 3 speakers from Nigeria who are going to introduce themselves and talk to us about their country. The only thing you should do is listen, enjoy, prepare some questions for the end, and please sign in because this is the way we get reimbursed for this delicious food.
Thank you very much, Jason.
Did you hit share?
Oh, let's see.
So in case anybody zooms in late, exactly the green one. And the PowerPoint. If it's that one right there.
That's fine.
Perfect. Thank you, Victor.
You're welcome. Thanks very much, Jason. It's good to be back here. And thanks to all of you for coming. I'm Victor Ujor. I'm an assistant professor at Ohio State ATI, and I have with me today Christopher Okonkwo, who is a postdoc in animal science, and I also have Uchenna Oyago, who is a visiting scholar to ATI, but he does most of his work at animal science. I'm from Nigeria, from the southeast part of the country. I happen to be from a state called Imo, I-M-O. And Chris, you're from which state?
Anambra.
Anambra State, which is closer to my state as well, but I know we're better than you guys. You're from?
Enugu State.
All right, you guys are good because I grew up in your state as well, so I'm more of an Enugu person. Now, 3 of us are going to come in and out and try to talk to you about Nigeria. You've already tasted Nigeria, even though it's from Latin America. I want us to give an applause to the cook because that's amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It does taste exactly like Nigerian food. And we'll talk about cultures, tastes, sound, and sounds of Nigeria today. We'll look at where Nigeria is located on the map of the world. We'll look at the size of Nigeria and the landmass. We'll look at a brief history of Nigeria. We're going to look at the vegetation of Nigeria. We're going to look at the cultural practices, tourism and festivities, economy of Nigeria, music, of course. We love to dance, and we dance very energetically, for sure. Some of you have seen me dance at the Celebration of Nations. So we'll try that again this year. We'll talk about the food, Nigerian food as well. So, first of all, Nigeria is located on the west coast of Africa right here. It's bordered on the north by a country called Niger. Most people call it Niger, but it's Niger, it's French pronunciation. On the left-hand side to the east there, on the west, is Benin Republic. And the north-east there is Chad Republic, and you have Cameroon, and we are bordered on the south by the Atlantic Ocean. And if you zoom in on that, you get a much better picture of Nigeria. Now, you can say Nigeria, some people will say divided into 2 halves, the north and the south, depends on who you ask. Others will say no, north, west, and east. Often there's that issue. We are very, very, except when we are watching soccer. Everyone tends to say, no, I'm Igbo, before they say they're Nigerian, quite frankly. Most of you who have been to Nigeria know that. Although I'm Yoruba, I'm Hausa. The Hausas are found more in the northern part of the country. And the Igbos are found on the eastern part, and the Yorubas are found on the western part. We'll talk about the different parts of Nigeria and the peoples of Nigeria as well as we go further. Nigeria has an area of about 356,000 miles. Just to introduce that a little bit. But the landed area is just about 351,000 miles. The population of Nigeria is 196 million people approximately. It's the most populous Black African nation in the world, or the most populous African nation in the world. I remember once I was living in London, England, and I was walking the streets down around Trafalgar Square, and 2 girls walked up to me and said, "Where are you from? Are you Nigerian?" I said, "Yes." "Why?" "Oh, we're just trying to sample what we read in our sociology class that 1 out of every 7 black people is Nigerian. So we're just trying to check that on the streets of London. So, okay, how's that working out? They say 2 out of every 5 is Nigerian. That statistic is definitely skewed because there's a lot of Nigerians in London. It's like going to Nigeria to look for how many black Nigerians are among 7 black people. So anyway, Nigeria is a very, very big country in terms of population, and we have quite a big population density of 12.2 per square kilometer. Let's take a look at the brief history of Nigeria. Now, before the advent of the white man, there was nothing like a country. We were different people living on different parts of the country. In some sense, we didn't trade. Often you find out that if you traded between one tribe or one ethnic group and another, you have a sort of relationship between your languages. You might have 1 word or 2 words or phrases that cut across 2 different languages. But if you come to Nigeria, you see very distinct languages because you have very distinct empires before the advent of the British. You had the Inri Kingdom, which was in the eastern part that I talked about a while ago. You had the Benin Kingdom, you had the Borno Kingdom, the Songhai Empire. These were all very distinct empires. They didn't trade much. They didn't realize that the others existed, except those that lived on the boundaries of those kingdoms or empires. They had kings, they had traditional rulers. They had some very disorganized societies, I would say. We Igbos are hard to rule. The other empires had more like very structured systems. They had chiefs, they had people working beneath them and so on and so forth before the advent of the British. But we even sort of did things in very small communities. Even one community was completely separated from the next community as a people. And subsequently down the line, we found out that the Portuguese made contact with the Benin Empire, one of the empires up there. They landed in a place called Warri, which is on the south that I talked about where Nigeria borders with the Atlantic. And from there, they moved inwards. They were mainly traders. They were trading for things like spices, pepper, and so on and so forth. And they were using guns to trade for spices. So the first time the Brits arrived, Nigerians fought them with the guns they got from the Portuguese. The Portuguese would give them guns and take spices away. Now, subsequently down the line, more Portuguese arrived in Nigeria. There were more missionaries then spreading Christianity across the land, so to speak. And then the British came in 1851. At that point, there was still no country or entity called Nigeria. It was a group of people split up all over the place, and they were trying to organize that particular group of people or groups of people. By 1914, they said, okay, we got to just figure this out. The North was different, the South was different. They said, no, it's going to be one country. In 1914, the North and the South were brought together. That's called the amalgamation of Northern and Southern protectorates to become Nigeria. So Nigeria began to exist as an entity in 1914. And that lasted until 1960. We said, no, we want our own independence. And it was a long battle until by 1960 they gave us independence. It wasn't full independence. We were still subject to the Queen of England at the time. By 1963, we became a full republic, like any other country. By just a few years after that, 1967, we went to war and said, no, the Southerners, being many of the Igbos, said we want our own country. We don't want to be the same people with the Northerners. And they fought a very nasty, bloody war for 3 years. We don't want to go into the war because we don't want to talk about it. It was really bloody and nasty, but thankfully, 3 years after, we said, let's call an armistice. We still want to be the same country. No winner, no vanquished. Nigeria came back together as a country after that. Nigeria is as vegetatively diverse as it's culturally diverse. We'll talk about the cultures and peoples as we go further. You find out that it's a very, very diverse country. But if you think about the weather here in Ohio, or the vegetation here in Ohio, how it's different from the weather and vegetation in Arizona. That's exactly what you get in Nigeria. Sometimes when you live in the South, you go up north, you're like, is this the same country? Now, I was born and raised in the South, and I lived in the North for a while. When the temperatures creep up, you wonder, where am I? I recall I used to stock as much ice in the fridge as much as possible when I went to work, so that when I got back from work, I would dump all that ice in the tub, pour all the water in, and stay there. That was my only salvation at that point in time. It was really hot. It hits like 115 degrees Fahrenheit. You cannot stand it. You can hear the walls breathing. And that's what you will see in a place like this, in very hot, arid places that are much more susceptible to the desert encroachment. There's a lot of efforts going on there to try to plant trees and so on and so forth, but rainfall is very, very scarce in that part of the country. Then you move further down south, you find out that's an entirely different place altogether. If you look at the map there, up there it's very arid. You move further in, it becomes greener and greener as you go further down south. You go over here, along the Atlantic, you find out that it's purely mangrove swamps. A lot of seawater and fresh water mixing up. So lots of big trees as well. It's purely rainforest. I often discuss with my Nigerian friends here, when it rains and we get a bit of flood, I'm like, whoa, it doesn't rain that much here. When it rains the way it rains in Nigeria, it's non-stop for days, like non-stop pounding rain. So it's purely a rainforest, mainly in the south, but in the north, it's much more prone to desertification. Now let's get into the tribes, the peoples of Nigeria. There is a very simplistic representation of Nigeria. Oh, it's broken into three major ethnic groups, damn. Hausas, Yorubas, and Igbos. And this map shows that here. But in reality, if you look much closer, you find out that it's not a very correct representation of the peoples of Nigeria, because we have over 250 ethnic groups. Sometimes some people, other Africans ask us, how do you manage to get it together? Well, somehow we've managed to get it together, I can say. You can move from here, for instance, in Nigeria, let's say from Worcester, you get to Columbus, and it's a different language. I mean, entirely different language. You head further down to Cincinnati, and it's an entirely different language. So it's a very, very diverse country. The Igbos dominate here. They're probably one of the most uniform ethnic groups in Nigeria. Now, even though there are two parts of the Igbo tribe, that sometimes you wonder, are they really Igbos? Because I'm Igbo, I hear a little bit of what they say. I don't hear everything they say. And we say Igbo most of the time, but the right pronunciation is IGBO. It's Igbo, which GB is an alphabet in the Igbo language. So they're mostly here, but the people from further around here are called Abakaliki people. Their language is so different, yet they're classified as Igbo. Now you go over here to the Yoruba people, they're quite uniform, but you see a number of tribes over there. Then you go to the north, many of the houses. But further down here, you have the Afiks, the Thieves, the Jaws, the Shekiris, and they all have entirely different languages. Some of them are very small in population, that we tend to forget them, but if you look down here, over here, it's so divided because there's that incursion of the Atlantic Ocean. Some of them live in very small islands, and somehow they have their own cultural practices, their own food, their own language as well. And you go further up north, while the houses dominate, there's another tribe called the Fulani people. They're mainly nomads. They can be found in Nigeria, in Ghana, in the Niger Republic, across that region, they're everywhere, just as you find houses as well. You have the Ts as well, the Igalas, the Shamba, the Kabawas. Also different languages, different cultural practices, different food, everything. Even the way they get married and everything is so different. So Nigeria is uniquely diverse in that sense. I can't think of any other country that is that diverse. Overall, the Igbos, Hausas, and Yorubas make up about 70% of the population, which is why we think, yes, they're the predominant ones, but there are about 200 and something different other ethnic groups in Nigeria. Here you can see, this is more of the Hausa people over there. The outfit is so different, and that's the Nigerian Igbo people. That guy looks like me, you can tell. And you go over here, this is the Yoruba people, and very colorful, so to speak, in terms of the cultural outfits. Let's talk a bit more about the Hausas. They constitute about 29% of the population. I lived up there, I learned the language a little bit, I've forgotten most of it now. I have my cousin here in the house, she might probably speak that language much better than myself, but I won't put her to the text. They constitute 29% of the language. They're mainly farmers. They grow all kinds of food from millet to sorghum to rice and so on and so forth. In fact, we call them the food basket of the country. Truly they are. Most of the stuff we use in tomatoes and peppers come from the north, and corn. They're really, truly farmers. And you wonder, how did they manage to do it? If you recall, I said it's very arid up north. Irrigation allows them to grow food up north. So they get water from River Niger and other rivers out there to be able to grow food. And if they didn't do that, I think most of us would starve, to be honest, because they are the real food basket of the country. Then the Fulanese are not interested in growing anything. They're nomads. They move from one part of the country to another. You find them in the south, west, east, north, everywhere. They go with their cattle. This is precious to them. They don't mess around with that thing. And they live off it. They sell it, they live off it, they get a lot of milk from it. We'll talk about their food as we go further. There's a particular food called fradinunu. It's made from fresh milk. I didn't really quite taste it when I lived in it, no, but I think you did, right, Chris? You did, okay. We'll talk about it when you get it here. So they're mainly farmers and cattle rearers up there. Back in the day before we found struck oil in Nigeria, agriculture was the mainstay of the economy. And then we have what we call the groundnut pyramid. That's peanut up there. You can see that from far, far away. We grew that so much that it started across the north from Kano to Kaduna. Fortunately, we found oil. Unfortunately as well, we started paying less attention to agriculture, so much so that the groundnut pyramids have disappeared today. So still talking about the houses. Polygamy is very, very predominant there. I remember I had a boss who had 40 kids. It's very normal in Nigeria because he has so many wives. Normally, you're allowed to have 4 wives in the north. As a Muslim, the predominant religion is Islam over there. You're allowed to have 4 wives at any point in time for a house a man. And often you can divorce and remarry, but you can always have 4 at any point in time. So polygamy is very, very common there. And I think there are many Muslims. On Fridays, usually when I was there, work ends at 12 because they go to prayer and that's the end of the day. And I saw this is what most of the girls you would see there look like. When the Brits arrived, buildings and structures like this were very, very common across the north. They have their distinctive architecture, which still stands till today. They build with mud, and they have a way of getting it to kill and stay and last long for a very long period of time. Food. The good thing about the north is they have some of the finest food you can think about. Now, this thing here, I could sell my house for it. It's called suya. Now, I went to see a friend this summer in Atlanta, my wife and I, and this friend of mine put me in trouble by making suya for us. We enjoyed it so much. My wife's been on my neck ever since then. Why don't you make suya? I've not succeeded in replicating that stuff the guy made, but suya is simply barbecue. It comes in a grill. It is amazing. They have a particular way to spice it and roast it over burning wood. It is amazing. I believe Nathan has had it every time he talks about it because there are houses in Ghana as well that he's been to a number of times. So suya is very, very popular. It's street food mostly. You can just buy it across the street. It tastes amazing. Then you have tuwo shinkafa. Tuwo shinkafa is rice and sauce. The sauce is full of meat. Very, very tasty. They grow a lot of rice there, so they make rice flour. Then they turn that into gel, something that looks like mashed potato, and you can dip it in that soup over there. And that's burrata nunu, which Chris will probably talk about better than myself. It's made from fresh milk. You find that predominantly among Fulanese, and that's the typical Fulani girl for you, trying to present burrata nunu, probably to learn working in the field. Like I said, we're very energetic people. We love to dance. We love music across the country, irrespective of the tribe, irrespective of the ethnic group. All there you can see mostly house of dancers, and they have their very distinctive tools and music equipment that you don't find anywhere else in the country. You go to Igbos, they have their own kind of drums. You go to Yorubas, they have talking drums that are equally different from Igbos and Yorubas and Hausas, and so on and so forth. I'm going to show you a bit of a Fulani dance here. And you have preparations for a Hausa wedding ceremony. Wedding ceremony is so big in the north that when there's one, sorry? 7 days. Yeah, it's so long, it lasts for 7 days. It's so big, it's full of merrymaking and ceremonies and so on and so forth. So I won't play the whole video for lack of time. I hope we have audio here. So this is a Fulani dance. The many carrera, the sticks they are carrying is what they usually carry out in the field when they are rearing animals. And what they're trying to show is that they're hardworking men. So they dance like they work, so to speak. While I'm chasing their cattle down the field. But they don't work alone, they have to eat. The girls usually bring the Ferrari unit to them when they are running cattle out in the field, and those are the girls. And what they're carrying on their head is a calabash. It's made from a particular earthen material that contains the Ferrari unit, very fresh milk. Now we'll jump over to the other video as well. So this is preparation for a wedding ceremony in the north. All the women in the community literally will descend on your compound, getting ready for the wedding ceremony. Now, here you have a wedding, you can have 5, 10, 20, 30 people as you choose. No, 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 not for us. Anybody who knows anybody, who knows anybody, who knows anybody, who knows anybody, who knows you is invited. You don't have to talk to them. Literally, the whole community will descend on your house. You can have 5,000 people at your wedding, and you do not complain. It's an honor for them to come. So all these women will descend to help cook, and you better have enough to cook. They'll definitely cook it for you. So irrespective of where you come from, weddings are big in Nigeria, and the houses are no exception to that. So the women will come and sing and dance and cook. The festivities will go on for days, 7 good days. That's the cooking right there. All right, we'll continue for lack of time. I'm going to play another video, but first of all, I want to talk about this very unique festival in the north. It's called Argungu Fishing Festival. It's in a place called Kebbi State. I live very close to that place sometime. I think between 2003 and 2004, I lived in that part of the country. Now, it's a river that you do not fish in. They only fish in it once a year. I guess they're very smart in terms of conservation, so to speak. No one goes there. And it's a law. No one dares break that law. There are very dire consequences if you try. So no one fishes there until one single day, the Argungu Fishing Festival. The whole community descends on the water. The king will declare that he has started. Usually it starts a day before. There are lots of festivities that go on before to appease the gods, so to speak. And you see some magic and all that happens around the area until they say, yep, off you go inside and fish. And they often fish without tools, like you literally jump in the water, you can snag whatever you can with only nets. You don't use hooks or anything sophisticated. Who catches the biggest fish? There's a prize for it. So every year, everyone works hard to catch the biggest fish. Once you get out the way, record it, you go back in again and try to catch some more. So it's one of the biggest festivities, it's definitely the biggest festivity in Kebbi State. And it's very popular across Nigeria because of its unique nature. So this is before the festival. They do all kinds of things to usher in the festival. That's a magician. Don't ask me how you managed to do that. I'm going to fast forward it to go to the actual fishing festival itself. So everyone literally jumps in the water and you try to snag as much as you can. Again, I can provide that for you at the end of the presentation if you want to watch the whole video. So we'll look at the Igbo cultures, and I'll follow on Uchenna to talk a bit more about the Igbos.
Thank you very much. My name is Uchenna Oyagu. I work as a lecturer in the University of Nigeria. That is the first indigenous university in Nigeria, and a visiting scholar in ATI. I'm from Enugu State, and Enugu State is part of the Igbo. That is the Igbo culture I'm trying to talk about. So the Igbos, they are predominantly Christians, even though there are, a few of the Igbos still practice traditional religion, and but they constitute about 19% of the entire country. Even though in the southeast there are other tribes, as Victor said. The Igbos, in the education, they received the missionaries with open arms. They received them, and they are non-conservatives. So they were able to, send out their kids for education early. So because of that, they worked with the colonial masters, worked with the missionaries. They were class teachers, both in the north, in the west, and in the Igbo land. So they were everywhere. They were, they mix up with everybody easily. So that is one of the characteristics of Igbo man. They always try out new things. They try out new things, and they continue to do that. So that's just in the occupation. Most of them are skilled workers. They are merchants. They trade, and also predominantly farmers. So most of them are fishermen. They grow crops, just like cassava. Grow crop like cassava, and also this palm. The palm nuts. They get palm fruit and palm oil from the palm tree, and also get palm wine from the palm tree. A lot of people, they are into this palm wine business. Most of them also produce dry gin from also the palm wine in recent days. So that's most of the the occupation of the Igbos. They are also into manufacturing, and you find them everywhere in Nigeria. In fact, if you go to the north, after the indigenous people in the north, the next people in the population will be the Igbos. So I believe that this 19%, it was the census done and constitute the Igbos in the southeast, and not the Igbos everywhere in Nigeria. Because the Igbos, if you add them up, I think it will be more than this. Scroll down. Okay. Scroll. Okay. So, coming to the Igbo culture, like predominantly we have in the Igbo land, we have Eze. The Eze, we call the king, is the Eze. And in our place, we believe that the Eze, he gives instruction, but he gives instruction, and the populace, the Igbos themselves, they also have, the right to reappeal. Maybe if there is any decision that didn't go well, they also have the right to come up and say no. And challenge most of the authority. So most times they say Igbo, we don't have king. So that doesn't mean that there is no existing king, but whatever he says may not be what will happen if there are objections from everywhere. So that is one of the, in fact, to me, that should be one of the reasons why the Igbos normally normally encounter problems with other parts of Nigeria, because they are so conservative that you don't challenge the authority of the kings. So, like the Igbos, most of them practice traditional religion, like they have carved images, they call alose. The carved images, alose, they worship the carved images, and before they eat, maybe they want to eat, they will just drop a little bit of the food to the carved images and do some incantations before they do anything. Early in the morning, some of the people that practice this. But Christianity, majority of people in Igbo land, they are Christians. So in the delicacy, in fact, Igbos, we have wonderful delicacies because most Igbos are farmers, just like I tell you, and they cultivate yam a lot. Yam a lot, like the cassava. This one is the pounded yam, and the pounded yam, if you are a visitor in any Igbo land, in any family in Igbo land, he normally welcome you with pounded yam because you use mortar, the wooden mortar, and the wooden pestle to do that. So, and once you are welcomed with this, then you know that actually you are welcomed. So that's this is the egusi. Is a kind of melon. They use like kind of melon, one species of melon that is dominant in West Africa. To the seeds. That's the seed that is used to do this. So it's a very good delicacy in Igbo land. Another one is this abacha. In fact, this is most popular in my state because we cultivate cassava a lot. So, and this is done with the cassava. There's the cassava cake that is peeled. So after doing that, then have the oil seed and also, garnished with vegetables. So, and the jollof rice, though the jollof rice is general. Like every part of Nigeria is a very good delicacy. Every part of Nigeria is not really, you cannot center it to any place.
West Africa?
Yeah, and even West Africa. So,
but we make the best.
Yeah, we make the best. So in the masquerades in Igbo land, we have a lot of masquerades. Like every community, their own masquerade is very distinct and unique in this way. And also each masquerade, there are dance groups that also go along with it. So and we use different drums, like the drum you can see here, and this one is called Atilogu. It's popular in my own state. So, and we also have the ladies that also dance alongside with the masquerade. So, and this one is dominant in Abia State. So it's also a kind of a dance group that always come out when something great happens in the community. When they are celebrating maybe a very good feat, or they defeated defeated a lot of people in the war, another community, or somebody made an outstanding achievement and comes back. So they normally welcome the person with this. So the another popular festival in Igbo land, we call it the New Yam Festival. The New Yam Festival. So the New Yam Festival, it is celebrated every year between August and November every year. So each community, they normally come out, the Eze of the community, each community normally give out the date for this ceremony. Because in Igbo land, we have some native days in a week. We have 4 native days in a week. So which means 7 weeks in a month. So, and it's very unique. We normally follow the days of the week. So it's based on that the date for this is always fixed. So during this ceremony, the yam will be roasted in the open, where after roasting, it is the king that will first come and cut the yam. A celebration for bountiful harvest, and also asking the gods of the land to also help them for bountiful harvest the next year. So that is one of the essence of this. So apart from that, we also have dance. The dance group in Igbo land, we normally dance with our muscles. We dance with muscles and all that. So one needs to be fit before you can learn to this. So thank you.
Thank you for the lack of time. I will stop this video. Maybe we'll send you a link when you want to see it again. That's a wonderful footwork. Okay. So the next, my name is Chris Okonkwo. I am from Nigeria. I'm from Anambra State, but I grew up in the southwestern part of Nigeria, Lagos. So I'm going to talk about the culture of the Yoruba people because I grew up among these people. So their main religion is Christianity, and you can find some Islams amongst them too, but you can find Islams from the Igbos. Now, these people, they have also other traditional religions, and then they are the second largest ethnic group in Nigeria, comprising of 21% of the total population. And you can see from this picture, this is the king. The king is known as Oba. In Igbo, we know the king is known as Eze, and then now in Hausa, the king is known as Emir. So these are the different names given to the kings, and they are very, very loyal to their king. They are very, very loyal to their king. If their king say go this way and you go the other way, there are a lot of consequences. Unlike in the Igbos, everybody is like independent of them. The Oba, the king in Igbo land, he just, if you go ahead, he's just the king, and then he doesn't say anything. So from here you can see the mosques and the churches, and then the people who are the servants of the king. You see how they kneel down, receiving orders from the king, and then they go and do as the king said. So from their occupation, most of them are farmers, and then they like, they are artists, and then they draw a lot of crops just like this. And many times during the colonial era, many of these things were taken to the Western places, and then even when like Victor said, when the Portuguese came, they traded some of these artifacts with some goods, and then they cultivate cocoa, and is what is used to make some beverages. So it's one of the main products Nigeria exports, and they are good in doing some local fabrics. They call it ashoke. It's a special fabric in the Yoruba land. And with that, I'll go to their food. There is a special food they call amala. Amala. They don't joke with it at all. And they eat it sometimes with ewedu and sometimes with egusi. And this amala is made from yam. What they do is they cook the yam. When they cut the yam, they dry the yam. And when the yam is dry, they ground it into powder. And from there, they make the amala. And these Yoruba people, they are good with giving birth to twins and triplets. Twins and triplets. It's very difficult to see a family in the Yoruba land without seeing any people that are from twins or triplets. And people have tried to correlate this to the kind of food because they always like to eat yam. And they said eating yam will make you give birth to twins or triplets. Even you can give birth to 6 if you want. So there's another food they call pounded yam. So they eat pounded yam as well. Yam, they do a lot of things with yam. So I won't dwell so much on that. So I will go to the masquerade and their dance. There is a kind of dance they call the Eyo. I was in Lagos, and when Eyo is coming out, nobody comes out. You know why? You don't see Eyo. It comes out in the night. And if you're a woman and you see Eyo, and you know the consequence is death. So what they do is they give a date when the masquerade will come out, and everybody will stay indoors. My mom will say, nobody will come out. So stay indoors because you don't know the part the Eyo will take in the city. So sometimes there used to be a lot of people they kill. So they are very, 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 very interested in their masquerade. And then these are the drum beaters. Like Victor said, they have talking drums. And these are the ladies. The ladies always, in the Yoruba culture, ladies dance more than men. And as we go, I will show you some pictures, some video. This is a video of the ladies dancing to the men beating drums. So they like dancing with their waist. The way the Hausas dance is different from the way the Igbos dance, and it's different from the way the Yorubas dance. And they always dance from their waist, shaking their waist, and that is it. Nothing more than this. So I will go to the tourism. There are a lot of tourist centers in Nigeria. For example, we have what we are looking at is the Obudu Cattle Ranch. It's located in the southern part of Nigeria, known as Calabar, and the temperature there is very, very low. It's similar to what you have here during summer, so it's not very hot. And one other thing is, yes, it's not because I've been.
That's the best way to describe it.
It's summer because it's always very hot in Nigeria. The last time I went back, I couldn't believe that I grew up in this kind of environment after staying here in the wild. So I once stayed in a state where Victor stayed, because in Nigeria, when you graduate, you have to serve the country for 1 year. You'll be posted to any part of the country. So I was posted to Sokoto. In fact, it's a desert area, and the temperature used to be around 50, 51 degrees Celsius, not very high. It's very hot. If you cook food now, the next 2 hours is bad, it's sour. So this is a tourist center in Nigeria, and a lot of white people, when they come to Nigeria, they always like to lodge in this place. They have a resort, and you can see the cattle. There is a section of it that has the cattle ranch, and I'll have to show you a video. A quick video. This is the entrance to the tourist center. This is the airlift that you can take to connect from one area to the next. So there's a lot of sightseeing in the Obudu Cattle Ranch. So the next thing we have is the Yankari National Park. It's located in go to the video. So the Yankari is where we have is a park where we have a lot of wild animals that they are protected. People come to see those wild animals like zebra, giraffe, lion, elephants, all sorts of animals you can think of. So I'm going to run through the video and show you some of the animals because of time. It's in the Bauchi state in the north.
The blue white is usually forms heads, which moves about in news application.
So here we can see the zebra.
From when we first saw the trail across those zebras actually hold arms. They have some
we have the giraffe.
Giraffes are the tallest living terrestrial animals.
I can send you links to these videos if you want.
Yeah, I can send out all
of these
links.
Victor will take over the economy of Nigeria.
So time is ticking away. I'm just going to rush this off. By the way, that's the only place you can find zebras and giraffes in Nigeria. Nigeria's economy is predominantly oil-based, 70% oil. It used to be agriculture until we found oil, and that took over. We're the largest exporter of oil in Africa, the 6th largest in the world. We're supposed to be rich. I wonder why. Anyway, it's called a mixed economy in the sense that apart from oil, the other 30% comes from the export of things like leather, cocoa, tobacco, and agricultural produce as well. but we're massively known for importation. We're the #1 importer of cars in Africa. We import a lot of machinery and, sorry?
Rice too.
And rice. We import a lot of food as well. I can't see that very well. That's okay. Movie industry. The Nigerian movie industry is big, really big. It started around 1992. It's grown really big afterwards. It's called Nollywood, just named after Hollywood. And it started with a particular movie called Living in Bondage. These guys came together and did the movie. It was a massive hit. And that has created a massive industry and a lot of stars in Nigeria ever since then. And Nigerian movies are really popular in North America, in Europe, in the Caribbean. I have friends from the Caribbean talking about Nigerian stars that I don't even know most of the time. So it's become really big over the years. And music as well has been something that's woven into a fabric, culturally speaking. And back in the day, it used to be freedom fighters, people like Sunday Okosin, Ebenezer Obey, Fela Nicola Mokuti, very big singer. The music actually went international, but they were thinking more about liberation of the people, either from the colonialists or from the corrupt politicians. But over the years, most of them are late now, and the industry has changed. It's never been this vibrant. The Nigerian music industry is big and vibrant now. As you can see, there's a lot of swag involved now. They're copying a lot of what you get in New York and the West, and it's really massive. A lot of music industries are going over to Nigeria to actually sign deals with artists and so on and so forth. It's really, really big. And when I lived in London, I would walk the streets of London and hear people playing Nigerian music in shops and so on and so forth. We have the likes of D'banj, Two-Face. Actually, my wife and I danced one of this guy's song on our wedding day. So that's how big it has become. Just to depict that a bit further, just recently, Davido, one of the popular singers in Nigeria, won an award as the best male singer in West Africa. Yemi Alade, who is both Igbo and Yoruba, won an award as the best female singer in West Africa. Davido as well won another international award, and Flavor, who just came up over the last 10 years, has become really, really big across Africa. He's done shows across the world, from New York to London to Paris and so on and so forth. He's won an award as well as the best live acting in Africa. So just to end that, I'm going to show you this video, which is one of those ladies, Yemi Alade. She's really, really big across Africa. Her song is being choreographed by a number of groups in Europe and North America because of the energy that goes with it. While we're copying the West in terms of music, the language still stays Nigeria, and the dancing as well is energetically Nigerian. Johnny oh, I'm looking for my Johnny, so let's stop there. Thank you so much all for coming. I don't even have time for 1 or 2 questions, so sorry for the question.
Yeah.
Thank you so much all for coming.
Please consider staying for questions and the traditional photo up front here. Anybody have a question now? And as people file out, all right. Okay, then come on up front for a picture if you have time, and feel free to ask these gentlemen.
No, you're
I'm not very lucky.
I think I'm from you.
Yoruba.